Arts in Depth, a 1/2 hour televised program presented to you by the Cultural Council of Indian River County. I'm Barbara Hoffman, the Executive Director of the Cultural Council and your host for Arts in Depth. Thank you for watching. Until the Vero Beach Theater Guild came into being in 1958, the only arts organization in town was the Vero Beach Art Club, which was already 22 years old. Then the Guild came along and was eagerly welcomed by this culture-starved community. Plays were performed at the Naval Base, Junior High School, and the high school. Sets were built in garages and costumes were stored in private homes until the city offered park land by the river on which to build our own theater. My guest today is Mark Wygonek, the immediate past president of the Vero Beach Theater Guild. Welcome, Mark.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you for joining us today on Arts in Depth. The Theater Guild has a wonderful 57-year history. Even though you were not around during those early years, what have you heard about those times? Let's go through those 6 decades and their highlights.
Well, I was born in 1958, the same year that the Guild was chartered, but my family moved here in the mid-60s, so I remember back in the mid to late 60s, the Theater Guild was everything. There was no performing arts center, there was no charter school, there was nothing else theater related. So consequently, hearing about the Guild, and I wasn't involved in theater, I was an artist. Even at my young age. So I wasn't involved with performing arts. But I remember them having auditions at the Vero Beach Elementary School and some of the other elementary schools for, actors to be in The King and I, for the children of The Sound of Music. And it was a big deal. I mean, all the people that were involved then, which would have been like the Sieberts, Pat Hazen, Hoffman, not Hoffman, I'm sorry, I can't think of his name all of a sudden now. But there were so many of the people back then that were involved that now some of our awards are named after. The Jacoba Siebert Hazen Award is a big award, the Steve Stahl President's Choice Award. These are people that were founding members of the Guild that took the Guild from being in storage units and playing at the high school, and helped with whenever the Theater Guild was being built at Riverside Park. And so the romance and allure of that time was interesting. You heard about it a lot because it was the only thing going on in town theater related. So
well, Vero Beach was a very small town back then.
Oh my gosh!
And to think that you had that many people in the community that were so interested in community theater is quite interesting.
Well, it's theater was, even television was, I don't think or the movie theaters, live theater was still important. It was still an important aspect of people's lives. And I think that helped a lot, being the only game in town.
Well, when we come back after a short break, let's talk more about the years, those 57 years, and the theater today.
Attention! This important message is for any American who is about to turn 65 years of age or older. Nation's Helpline has Medicare supplement insurance news that may benefit you, your family, or someone you know. Most Americans who are about to turn 65 years old know they need Medicare supplement insurance, even if they already have Medicare. The Nation's Helpline Medicare Supplement Team can guide you and help answer your Medicare questions. We can also help you find the right Medicare supplement policy from the best insurance companies around. So if you or someone you know is about to turn 65 years or older, call Nation's Helpline today. Don't spend more than you have to on Medicare supplement insurance. Call Nation's Helpline today and find out how easy it is to protect the ones you love, even if you already have Medicare. This is a program for you. The call and quote is free, and there are no obligations. Call today.
Please call 800-632-2804. That is 800-632-2804.
I'm back with Mark Wygonick, immediate past president of the Vero Beach Theater Guild. We've been discussing the history of the Theater Guild. Mark, please continue with these wonderful highlights, including the move to Miracle of San Juan.
Well, I went away to college and to work, and when I moved back in 1985, the Guild was getting ready to move from Riverside Park, where the Riverside Theater is. There had been a split, difference of opinion on what was, what was going to happen, the future of the Guild. And so Riverside became professional, and the Theater Guild, chartered as a community theater, wanted to continue as community theater. So they found a church on San Juan, an old church, and bought it and renovated it. And so literally, when I moved back to town in '85, I was involved with the very last musical at Riverside that the Theater Guild put on, which was Brigadoon. And then that summer, everything moved to San Juan. And we've been there since for the last 30 years. It's been crazy. It was an old church, so everyone was sitting in pews, and the stage was not so big, but then in that was in '85, right around '91, '92, we moved the stage to the north. We switched the seating facing that. They raked the house, which is angled. They got we got regular movie or theater seats, got rid of all the pews, which were very uncomfortable, and especially for a 2.5 hour musical, very uncomfortable to sit there. And we've been moving since. All the offices became storage units and dressing rooms and costume shops, and building our sets. And that's the nice thing about community theaters. Everybody pitched in. Everyone pitches in, and it's part of their life. It becomes part of their life. We call ourselves a family because it is. People that have been around, and there are still people that have been around for 40, 45, 50 years. Joyce Levy and Sarah Morley and people like that who've just, were over at Riverside during the 70s, early 80s. And so now here we are on San Juan. We've been there for 30 years. We've raked the house. We've changed the stage. We've got a fly space for set pieces to fly up. And the auditorium itself is pretty much where we want it to be. The sound system is moved out into the house like most professional theaters, or most theaters have. And our lighting is good, and everything within the theater itself is where we want it to be.
Well, that's terrific. Why is community theater so important in a community?
Well, there's a lot of people in this community, in this world, who are never going to be professional actors, who can sing, who can dance, who can act, but their lives aren't taking them in a professional way. And so consequently, they have that opportunity to be on stage, to perform in a great, comedy or a drama or a musical, and they don't have to be a professional. They can just be a bank teller or a shopping assistant or whatever during the day. But at night, they can be on the stage, which is a lot of fun.
We'll be back shortly.
Now that health reform is law, you cannot be denied health insurance coverage, but you can pay too much.
As a single mom, I was convinced that we could not afford health insurance until I spoke to the people from ICANN, who told me that I qualified for a special enrollment and a subsidized rate. Now I get so much more for so much less.
Call now and get the ICANN mobile app free. So don't wait another minute. Call ICANN, get covered, save money.
Freddie Wilfrick and Gregory Simpson invite you to Spotlight, Indian River, weeknights at 6:30 and 10:30.
Over the years, the performance schedule for the theater has not only been plentiful, but it has been diversified. Tell us about some of the performances that stand out in your mind.
Well, again, I enjoyed Brigadoon, the first show that I did when I came back, because it was so new for me, but it was also a huge cast and a lot of fun, and I got to meet some of the stalwarts of the Guild at that time, Donna Roberts, Mitchell, and people like that who were just, Chris Sexton. They were all involved at the Guild. So Brigadoon, was a standout for me. And then when we moved over to San Juan, where we are now, I think the very first one that really made a big impact on my life was The King and I in 1988. I think it was the 88-89 season, because that was the first set that I designed. And that was a lot of fun to be able to work not only on stage but backstage, building a set and working on a set and designing one. And then when we changed the theater around, the very first musical that we had when we came back into the theater was Into the Woods back in '93, I believe it was. And that was a beautiful, beautiful show. It was probably one of the most elaborate sets and costumes that we had had a chance to do. But over the 30 years that I've been involved, my most favorite, and probably the one that people still look at as a benchmark from our normal season, would be, I think, Cabaret. That was, 9 years ago. I think it was now. No, it wasn't. It was 7 years ago when we did that, and I directed it. And it was a show that had not been done. We had not done before, and it's controversial in some ways. Although, quite honestly, at this point in the world's history, it's not nearly as shocking as most people, it was in the past. But those shows, I think, are some of the most fun that I remember.
How are the plays selected?
There is a play reading committee. There are two. One is for the musicals, one is for the straight plays. And they look at different shows that are popular, shows that are perhaps being done a lot at the time, new shows that are available to us. And they go through them. The committee sits down and they come up with a list of shows that maybe some of the directors would like to direct, or shows that are appropriate for the people that we have available to us right now. And so we sit down, we go through them, we kind of narrow it down to maybe 3 or 4, based on cast size, based on set, how elaborate the sets need to be, etc. And then they present to the board a slate with backups, and then the board goes through and says, yes, we like that idea, or no, we hate it, or this could work. And then the board chooses the final, whether it's a 6-season show or a 5-season show, which is what we currently do now. So.
Can you quickly share one backstage moment?
Oh gosh, well, of course, when we did Anything Goes back in the 90s, and our lead lost her voice, and so there was off stage, there was another gal singing for her while she was on stage with her lost voice, acting, and finally she went off stage, pulled her on, and said, "Here. Just you're singing for me anyway, just go ahead and sing on stage," which was a lot of fun.
Okay, we'll be back shortly.
The Furniture Man is a locally owned business that has served the needs of the community of Vero Beach and Indian River County for over 30 years. Here at the Furniture Man, we offer fine pieces to furnish each and every room of your home. Specializing in Floridian style, come browse our selection of bedroom, dining room, patio, and living room. Come explore over 10,000 square feet of showroom, where you can find mattresses, recliners, sofas, dining, and more. Visit us at 673 US 1 in Vero Beach, Monday through Saturday, for all of your furniture needs.
Watch Chamber Buzz at 6 and 10 p.m. Mondays and Wednesdays on VeroBuzzTV.com.
I'm back with Mark Waganick, and we're talking about the Vero Beach Theater Guild. And Mark, tell us about all the actors and the auditions.
Well, I love the audition process. People coming in for the first time that have never been on stage, or the people that are, used to it and just sometimes it's a lot of fun. Sometimes it's more fun than others. Let's put it that way. A drama tends to be much more somber, and you're reading heavy lines from Chekhov or from whomever. But when you're doing a comedy, a farce, it can get really raucous. When I was doing Hotbed Hotel, we had some new people come in that had never auditioned before, and literally the show's a farce about these oversexed people in Key West, and there's people throwing themselves on each other and on for auditions to get the part, and that's a lot of fun. Musicals are just a riot, can be. We just had auditions for Hairspray last week, and I think we had a total of almost 80 people audition.
Oh my
and the
gosh.
last night was incredible because there's 70 people there, and everyone was just cheering each other on, and they're very supportive. The new people especially, they usually are, you can tell they're nervous, or they say, I've never done this before, and it's nice to have that feeling that there's people in the audience there rooting for you, whether you stink or whether you are brilliant. Everyone is very supportive, and that's a great feeling. Great feeling.
The show would not go on without volunteers.
Oh my gosh.
What other volunteer jobs are available?
Well, we use about 270 volunteers through the course of the year. And they range from, ushers, taking tickets, selling tickets in the box office, helping to build the sets, helping to paint the sets, design them. The directors are volunteers, all music directors, all the actors, of course. But there's also people in the seamstresses, the people that are working in costumes, the props people who go out to stores and businesses finding things that people use on stage. Every single thing, putting our playbills together, putting our advertising. There's every single aspect of our theater is a volunteer. Is done by a volunteer. And it's amazing the amount of talent in this town, not just on stage, but off stage and backstage. The people that can paint and the people that can sew and design and do graphics and websites, etc., and are willing to do that as a volunteer is an amazing thing. Really nice.
That's really, really wonderful. How does one apply to be a volunteer?
Well, we do have a volunteer form that you fill out, and we have a wonderful, Loretta is our wonderful volunteer coordinator, and she, you get this form, you fill it out, and you can turn it in at the box office or an usher if it's during a performance. She'll take it and she'll look at it, and then she'll give you a call and kind of discuss your needs or what your wants and what you're interested in doing, and then she kind of funnels you into the right place. It's important that we have someone like that who kind of is like a what you want to call a clearinghouse first, so that people aren't just kind of thrown into the mix and going, I don't know what to do now.
How can one find out about the performance schedule and purchase tickets?
Oh, well, 562-8300 is the box office, and that's the best thing because you can, we have it on recorded, but it's also the box office personnel can give you an idea of what's happening. We also have brochures and other things as well.
And a website.
Okay, www.verobeachtheaterguild.com.
And you can always come to the Cultural Council and find out exactly what's going on.
There's a lot of places, there's a lot of ways to find out about us.
We'll be back shortly.
Since 1951, Globe Life and Accident Insurance Company has been providing families with life insurance protection. $1 covers the first month of coverage, whether you choose from $5,000 up to $100,000 of coverage. First day coverage means no waiting periods. Easy to buy, no medical exam, no risk 30-day money-back guarantee. Up to $150,000 of accidental death coverage can be added to your policy. Globe Life makes buying life insurance easy.
Marsha.
Hi, I'm Penny Chandler.
I'm Freddie Wolford.
I am Barbara Hoffman.
And I'm Gregory Simpson.
I'm here with Police Chief David Curry.
You're in good company on VeroBuzzTV.com, Vero Beach's local TV station on the internet.
I just love it.
Tell a friend.
We love y'all!
I'm back with Mark Waganick. A couple of years ago, the theater launched a capital fundraising and building expansion campaign called Casting Our Future. Tell us about this campaign and what it means to the theater.
Well, we were outgrowing our space. We have, we had rented storage units all over town and had no place to rehearse. And so we felt that it was time to bring everything back to our campus. So we initiated this campaign. We got a great design from our architect, Tony Donadio, and we started the process. We've raised just over $500,000, half of our goal. And we're putting up a 3-story addition that will house our proper dressing rooms. We will be able to rehearse on site, so we don't have to rent places all over town. And then our 3rd floor will be a costume storage, which is, it's really ridiculous when you're running around all over town trying to find costumes for something that's happening at the theater. We should all be right there. Everything should be there. And so the 3rd floor will have that costume storage. And then the places that we were using for dressing rooms, etc., will become sewing rooms and places for our staff to be able to, the people that volunteer, to be able to work so they can do their job better without having to, again, run all over town trying to find things or do things. So it's important that we try to keep everything local within our facilities.
I believe that I've heard you say that through all the first 58 years, you spent everything for the audience, everything you did, and that now it's time to help the volunteers and the actors and performers.
Well, and that's kind of, ironic in a way, but it's not. I mean, the theater, ultimately, people go to the theater to see a show. That's why they go. And so consequently, that's what we do, put on a good show. But in the meantime, we had been neglecting ourselves. It's typical. We forget that, the people that volunteer, the 270 people per year that come in and out, need the right facilities to work in. They need a good space that they can, it's not cramped, that's not, antiquated. And so to have that right there, is really important, and it was necessary. It was time to do it, and I'm very proud that we were able to do it while I was president. And we're moving forward. The first level is already finished. They're getting ready to pour or put the slabs in for the 2nd level, and so things will be moving forward.
And what is your vision for the future of the Theater Guild?
Well, of course, to continue to put on great shows, but to be able to perhaps put on shows that we hadn't been able to do before, because we have the space to rehearse, we have the space to try new things, out first, to be able to utilize our rehearsal space for black box or for readers theater or experimental theater, or just readings of shows, to get a better idea of what is out there that we've not tried. And that's important, I think, for anything, whether it's theater, movies, or television, or the internet, etc. You have to keep moving forward and trying new things. And in our case, there's a lot of plays and musicals out there that we need to be looking at. We need to be trying to do. And I think that's going to help us more than anything, is having that facilities to keep it all there, do it.
Well, I must confess that many, many years ago, I was in community theater, and I had lead in Dirty Works at the Crossroads.
Okay.
And we'll be back in a few more minutes to learn more about who is Mark Waganick.
Stop by Patty's Printing and Graphics in downtown Vero Beach. Owner Patty Callahan prints it all, from color and black and white copies to blueprints, banners, signs, prints of paintings, and fine art. Patty makes restorations and creates outstanding graphic designs. Call Patty at 770-1521 or stop by Patty's Printing and Graphics at 2345 14th Avenue. Stop by for all of your printing needs at Patty's Printing and Graphics, across from the old railroad station in downtown Vero Beach. Join Marsha Littlejohn nightly at 5 and 9 on VeroBuzzTV.com.
Mark, your leadership on the board of directors, your acting, your directing, your producing have made a significant impact on the Theater Guild, but you have other cultural interests as well as earning you the highest recognition from the Cultural Council, the Richard A. Stark Award for Cultural Leadership 2 years ago. Tell us about Mark Wygonek.
Oh my, well, where to begin? You know, I wasn't really interested in theater when I was growing up because I was an artist and I was painting and I was, you know, designing things. And then when I went to college, all of a sudden I was kind of thrust into it was a private arts school, and there were so many different disciplines. There was, you know, the fine arts, there was the performing arts, there was, you know, interior design and fashion design, etc. And as president of the student council in college, we had to kind of combine all of those disciplines into, you know, events for the faculty and for the students. And so that's where my theater, I think, first started, is how to turn those into fun events, and it became very theatrical. Then after college, I was living in South Florida, and then I moved to the Caribbean for 4 years to work as a art director for a publication. And talk about theater starved, art starved. I was living in the Turks and Caicos, British West Indies, and there was nothing going on. And so a group of expats and a group of locals, we formed a theater company there. And we did all kinds of fun things. I mean, it was more of a kind of a cabaret burlesque type of a thing, where there would be singing, there would be dancing, there would, you know, the British men would all do drag, which they loved to do. The French would have these great songs. You know, people from Australia had amazing farces that they did. You know, the Caribbean people would have this amazing dance. And I had a friend who was had studied with Alvin Ailey, so he brought some wonderful contemporary dance in as well. So that kind of formed my my passion for theater. Then when I moved back to Vero, of course, in '85, it was like, there it was, Brigadoon. There it wasn't a kilt. But Chris Sexton was a very important, you know, she really helped push me along in the right direction by, you know, getting me involved with dance. And then, you know, my business partner, Chris Foster, Chris Sexton, Chris Foster, you know, he's a professional, he's a performer, and he's been from the age of 7, and his professionalism, his passion, really, I think more than anything, pushed me to always try to be the best I could be with theater. And that involved, you know, just maybe pushing everyone that I was directing as well, or that I was, you know, involved with, whether it was set design or actually, you know, directing a show, is expecting them to be the best they could be.
Well, Mark, you are a true jewel for our city and for all you do for the cultural arts. I'd like to thank you for talking with us today, and I want to thank our viewers for watching Arts in Depth, presented by the Cultural Council of Indian River County.
Advertise your business on Buzz TV. Email buzztvnetwork@gmail.com or call 772-777-1382.